Hello everybody, in this lesson I will teach you the very basics of factorization. We will start with factorization by taking out a common factor. Then I will teach you how to take out a bracket as a common factor and then how to take out a minus when factorizing. Now I will show you what is factorization all about. So when you simplify this expression, do you agree you will use the distributive property of multiplication to get rid of the brackets? And this is exactly what simplify means. It means get rid of the brackets. So you will say 5 times a is 5a, and you will say 5 times 2 is equal to 10. Now, factorization is the exact opposite of simplification. In other words, I will give you the 5a plus 10 and then you will rewrite it in brackets. In other words, you will rewrite it in its factors. Now, just to quickly recap, when I give you the number 10, do you agree that the factors of 10 are 1 times 10, or the factors of 10 could be 2 times 5? Now, when we go to the factorization on the right hand side, when we factorize, we will start by pulling out a common factor, and the common factor we will take out will be this 5, and then 10, when we write 10 in its factors, it's the same as 2 times 5. So here we have a 5a plus, and 10 is the same as 2 times 5. So when we factorize, we will pull out the common factor, and the common factor, it has to be common to both terms. In this case, will be the 5. So therefore, when we factorize 5a plus 10, we will write it as 5, that's the common factor, bracket a plus 2, and that is what's left. And there, that's your first sum that you have factorized. The first type of factorization that we will be looking at is to factorize by taking out a common factor. Now the question says factorize, so in other words that means we will write those two terms in terms of brackets or something times something. Remember, brackets means multiplication. Then I just want to show you quickly, do you agree this is 3x plus, and the factors of 6, they are 2 times 3. Now, when we factorize, we will pull out the common factor, and the common factor that's common to both terms, that will be the 3. So we will write equals the 3, and then directly next to the 3 we will write a bracket, because you don't write anything there. So when you write a 3 and a bracket directly next to each other, it means multiplication. And remember, factors of something is something times something. Now, what's left? Now this is where I'm going to show you a little trick. So when you pulled out 3 as a common factor, then it is as if you are dividing both terms by 3. But this you will do with your pencil. And then you can say 3 goes in itself once, 3 goes in itself once, and what's left is the x plus, and then on this side 3 goes in itself once, 3 goes into 6 twice. Therefore, we factorize that one, and the answer is 3 bracket x plus 2. Now, since this is new to us, it's always good if you quickly take the little factorized answer, 3 bracket x plus 2, and then in your head or on the right hand side, but just somewhere where the examiner can't see it, then quickly multiply this back to see if you were right. 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times plus 2 is 6. So yes, we were right. Example 2. So I want to focus your attention on the question. The question simply says factorize. So nowhere will the question say factorize by taking out a common factor. This is my job. I'm teaching you that this is what factorization is all about in this lesson, is taking out a common factor. Again, I suggest let's go to the 8. Well, there's the 2 times x plus, and then 8 can be written as 2 times 4. So then it's very clear that the common factor, the highest common factor, is this 2 and that 2. So we will factorize by taking out 2 as a common factor. We write equals 2 and again a little bracket, and remember there's nothing there. Then the 2 that you took out, you will take that 2 and divide both terms by 2 so that you end with 2 goes in itself once, 2 goes in itself once. You will be left with the x, and the second term, 2 goes in itself once, 2 goes into 8 4 times, and there's your answer. And again, let's quickly simplify our factorized answer just to make sure that we were right. Therefore, we will say 2 times x is 2x and 2 times 4 is 8. Yes, we were right. Example 3, factorize. Now in this one, we will take out the 2 as a common factor. So we write equals 2 with the bracket, and then with our pencil, divide by 2, divide by 2. And then we will say 2 goes in itself once, 2 goes in itself once. So we're left with x squared. And then suddenly we're left with x squared plus 1. Now where does this 1 come from? It's from this side. Have a look. When you say 2 goes in itself once, 2 goes in itself once, you can't be left with nothing there. You are, in fact, left with a 1 over 1, which is 1. So there's the factors for that one. And then we can quickly simplify and just see whether this is correct. So there's our factorized answer. And we multiply. 2 times x squared is 2x squared, and 2 times 1 is 2. Now I added this example since suddenly there's also a variable that you can take out. So you can take out this number in front. Remember the number in front, we call that one the coefficient. And then again, I just want to show you 6 is the same as 2 times 3a squared. Remember, a squared is the same as a times a plus and then 3a. Now, you don't have to write it in expanded form like that. I just did it to show you what's going on here. So we can clearly see that we can take out a 3 and an a as a common factor. It's common to both. So therefore, we write equals 3a with our bracket directly next to the factor. And then it's exactly the same here. We can divide by 3a, divide by 3a, the factor we took out. And then we can see that the 3 and the 3 cancels. This a and one of the a's will cancel. So what's left? There's the 2 and the a. And then on the other side, when we take out 3a, then we say 3 goes in itself once, 3 goes in itself once, a will cancel with this a. And remember, a 1 over a 1 is a 1. So that's why we left with, inside the bracket, 2a plus 1. Let's check whether we were right. So on the right hand side, somewhere where the examiner can't see, we will quickly multiply this back. 3a times 2a is indeed 6a squared, and 3a times 1 is 3a. Now I'm taking you one step further. The question still says factorize. Now we actually factorize by taking out the highest common factor. So when we go to our sum, we find 5x cubed plus 7x squared. So do you agree in this one we can take out an x squared? We can take out an x, but then it's only a common factor. The highest common factor for both of them will be x squared and x squared. And on the 5 and the 7, there's nothing common there. So when we factorize, we write equals x squared and a bracket. And then again, now you will take the x squared, you will divide both terms by x squared with your pencil. And then remember the rules of exponents says when you divide exponents, you will subtract them. X to the 3 divided by x squared is just x. And remember, this 5 in front will just write with. And on the right hand side here, we can say x squared goes in itself once, x squared goes in itself once, and we're left with 7 times 1, which is just 7. And then on the right hand side, we can quickly check whether we were right by multiplying. And we can say x squared times 5x is 5x cubed, and x squared times 7 is 7x squared. Now the next thing that I'm going to teach you is to factorize by taking out a bracket. So when you go to our little sum, can you see there's two brackets, and inside the bracket on the first one you find a plus 4, and on the second term there's also a plus 4. So those two brackets, they look exactly the same. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to pull out this whole bracket a plus 4 and the whole bracket a plus 4. And then what's left when we take out the a plus 4, so it's as if we said a plus 4, the whole thing will cancel. And on this side, a plus 4, remember the whole thing will cancel. And then it's very clear we're left with x squared minus 5. And now this is important how you will write it. Can you see? Again, you write this x squared minus 5, the two terms that's left, inside its own little bracket, and you write the two brackets directly next to each other with no sign there. So you factorized. Let's do another one. So the question will simply say factorize, and we will factorize by taking out a bracket as a common factor. And it's very important that the two brackets look exactly the same. And you can see this one, x squared plus 1, x squared plus 1. So they are indeed the same. Therefore, we will take them out, x squared plus 1, and let's do this, x squared plus 1, and divide x squared plus 1. So we can say the whole bracket will cancel with the whole thing. And then on the second term, the whole bracket cancels with the whole bracket. And we're left with 2b minus 3. And again, can you see, you write the two brackets directly next to each other with no sign there. Now the last type of factorization I'm going to teach you in this video is we will factorize by taking out a minus. Now let's go back to the beginning. When we simplify, remember I said simplification means we get rid of the bracket and we will use the distributive property. So to simplify this one, we will take this minus and we will say a minus times a plus a is minus a, and minus times plus 3 is negative 3. That's simplification. So on the right hand side, factorization is the opposite of simplification. So they gave us minus a minus 3, and now when we factorize, we will take out this minus as a common factor. So we will write equals minus, and then you put a little bracket, and then it's as if you divide both terms by a minus, and we will say a minus divided by a minus is plus, this is an invisible plus a, and a minus divided by a minus is plus 3. So this one, let me just rewrite it. In fact, when we factorize, will be negative a plus 3. Question 8, we will still factorize by taking out a minus. So what we will do, when we take out the negative, the minus, you write minus and a bracket. Then you will say, divide this one by negative and divide that one by negative. So that you can say, a minus divided by a minus is plus b, and a plus divided by a minus is minus 5. And can you see, although I said a negative divided by negative is a positive here, you don't write the positive when it's in front of the variable. And let's see if we were right. On the right hand side, we can simply simplify. So what that means is we will quickly multiply this back. A negative times a b is minus b. Negative times negative 5 is positive 5. So yes, we were right. In this example, I'm going to show you that we will still factorize by taking out a minus, but we will also take out a common factor as well as a minus. I want to show you this negative 2x, that's that one, and 10 is the same as 2 times 5. So what we will do is we will factorize by taking out a negative 2 on this one and a negative 2 on that one. So we will write equals negative 2. Now remember, it's as if you said divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2. So what's left? You will say a minus divided by a minus is a plus, and 2 goes in itself once, 2 goes in itself once. So on this one, you are actually just left with x. And then on the second term, here we will say a plus divided by a negative is a negative, and then obviously the 2 and the 2 will cancel, and you're left with a 5. So again, on the right hand side, let's just check whether we were right. So there's what our factors are. We quickly multiply them back. We say negative 2 times x is indeed negative 2x, and negative 2 times negative 5 is indeed plus 10. So we can also take out a number as a factor as well as a negative. Example 10, factorize. We have negative x squared minus xy. So on this one, I'm going to take out a negative and an x and the variable. So we pull out minus x, and this is what we do. We divide this one by negative x, and we divide that one by negative x, so that we can say a minus divided by a minus is a plus, which we're not going to write, and x squared divided by x is just x. And then on the second term, we will say a minus divided by a minus is a positive. The x and the x will cancel, and I'm left with y. And then let's check whether we were right. When we simplify that, we have a negative x times positive x is negative x squared, and negative x times y is negative xy. Now on example 11, we will still factorize, but this is now where I combined the two examples we did previously. We will factorize by taking out a minus and a bracket. Now when we go to the sum, 16x bracket a minus b, and then there's this plus 5, but now suddenly the bracket is b plus a. So my advice to you is, let's rewrite the bracket. so that the bracket looks exactly like the first bracket. So there's the 16x bracket a minus b, nothing happened there. And on the second one, the only thing I did was I swapped the two. So I wrote the a in front, and then there's the minus b. So what can you see? Now, by simply swapping the two terms around, suddenly the two brackets are exactly the same. Both of them are a minus b. So now we will take out a minus b as the common factor, and we're left with 16x plus 5. This looks familiar. And remember, you write the 16x plus 5 in its own little bracket, and you write the two brackets directly next to each other with no sign there. Let's do another one. Example 12, factorize. So what can you see? On the first one, there's the x minus 2, and then on the second term, there's a problem, because suddenly this one is negative x plus 2. Can you see the two brackets are different? So what we will do is we will pull out this minus as a common factor. But remember, when you pull out a minus, it's in fact you have to pull it out from both terms. So let's see. On the first one, that one writes with, and then here, when you take out the minus as a common factor, what will happen is this sign will change into a minus. The second sign, this minus, will change into a plus, because it's as if you will say a minus divided by a minus is a plus. And this one, the sign will also change. A plus divided by a minus is a minus. So see what happens? It turns into minus bracket x minus 2. And now we can also quickly, let's do this in blue, multiply this back in our heads. A minus times x is minus x, yes. Minus times negative 2 is plus 2, yes. All right. So now we can factorize by taking out the x minus 2. They look exactly the same. So we factorize, we take it out, x minus 2. And now you must be very careful with what's left. Have a look. On the second bracket, you will be left with a 3a and a minus, and now you must be very careful. Although there's nothing there, there's an invisible 1 that's left. So the factor that's left will be 3a minus 1. And then again, you write the two brackets directly next to each other with no sign there. Last example, factorize. Again, we want to take out a common factor, but the brackets differ. So this one is 2x minus 3y, and this one is negative 3y plus 2x. So before I will take out a common factor, if it's needed, I will first rearrange the two terms. Now let's see. There is the first term, and then on the second one, I will write it as 2x minus 3y. So can you see I've done absolutely nothing to the terms. Just by rearranging it, everything fell in place. So now the two brackets are exactly the same. There's your 2x minus 3y and 2x minus 3y. We will take that one out as a common factor. And then what's left inside its own little bracket, a squared minus 2a. There. And you will write the two brackets directly next to each other. Now this is indeed the answer, but we can actually take this one step further. So the question says factorize, but in fact we factorize fully. Now that means on the second bracket, have a look, we can also take it further by taking out an a as a common factor. So have a look. Therefore, there's the 2x minus 3y. There's nothing we can do there. We can take out a as a common factor, and we're left with a minus 2. And now our sum is fully factorized. And then just for the last step, what we do is normally we don't write this little a there, we will rather write it in front. So the answer a bracket 2x minus 3y bracket a minus 2. In the next video, I will teach you all about factorization and the difference of two squares. Click on the video in the left-hand corner to take you straight to the next video.